Let's get a little weird. Let's get a little odd. Those sounds you like to hear. We got it going on. It's the Oddcast. It's the Oddcast. It's the Oddcast. It's the Oddcast.
What's up? Welcome back to the Oddcast podcast, where we talk to people who are turning their passion into profession and subsequently that passion into paychecks. We're in house again at 5 and a Dime, G Street, downtown San Diego. We got Jay, we got Moss from Original Goodstock in the building. 2 repeat guests. How you gentlemen doing today?
I'm good.
Good.
Yeah,
Excellent.
Yeah. It's a little warm in here.
It's a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm always warm.
Yeah. Is that just being like, I'm a big guy, so I'm always constantly sweaty.
I'm always in suits, so
I just feel like I'm generating heat always.
Yeah, I feel the same.
Yeah.
I feel like you guys are always on the move too, though. Like, I mean, maybe that's a misperception. I don't know. From what I see, though, on the outside looking in, I mean, I feel like you guys are always at least maneuvering in somewhere.
Yeah, we talked about this before, but definitely spinning plates.
Yeah.
So we got to be all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. I like it. I was mentioning, I don't know how this applies to anything, but recently I'm very much into picking up hobbies because I need to break up the monotony from time to time. But I recently just got into shooting, into archery. Like I went with my friends yesterday for the first time. I mean, this is a brand new thing, brand new hobby, and I completely loved it. I love the fact that it's how do you explain it? It's like
it's super precise. Isn't
it's very precise, which I wasn't. But there's you have to be aware of your body, your position, it's like almost a little bit meditative. It was pretty interesting. I was super into it, but I was telling my friends like I really needed it at that point because I felt like I was Truman showing. I was like doing a lot of the same monotonous things in my life, because even though it's like I have the chance to do hickeys and Clean Slate and 5 and a Dime and the good stuff. Yep. It's like I know where I have to be on Tuesday at the kitchen. I know where I have to, you know what I mean? And so, and also since I'm doing all these things here in the city, it's like there's not a lot of room. I can't go anywhere, Like I have to be like present.
Yeah.
Always.
Like every day is
every day is always present.
That's interesting. I mean, that's a cool thing about San Diego. I like that almost in a way that you have to be kind of present here to. I don't know. Do you think that's specific to San Diego, though?
No, I think it's just specific to my or anyone's situation. Like I have a physical space that needs to be manned and needs to be managed, and like you just can't go. You have to be. My sister took a little vacation this weekend, and I have to be here. I have to make sure that the guys are here doing what they need to be doing, and that kind of thing. So you just have to,
that's true.
Or it's like my weekends are dedicated to the DJing stuff. So
yeah, like
I have to be here. I can't just take off.
Yeah.
I feel like no, Jay's right. Like because when you have something and it's turned into something else or an add-on, it just builds and builds from there. Like the opportunity just comes and then you make it what you want it to be, and then if it fits, it fits, and then it just becomes like an everyday thing, like this, then that, then I got the weekend to prepare for, and then which is great, busy. Good.
Yeah, it's nice to be busy for sure, as long as it's
a good problem.
Yeah,
it's a good problem to have. Yeah,
I think my issue currently is like learning how to say no.
Okay.
Because I want to I want to make everyone happy, and I don't want to let anyone down, and I want to be supportive.
It's a catch-22 though,
Yeah.
It's. It can bite you in the ass. There's sayings like, kindness, give an inch, take a mile type of thing. There's all these sayings, but I think that's still, you're always going to probably maintain always looking out for someone if you have the time. But I mean, how do you differentiate then when to say no? You say you're working on it. How do you even go about working on something like that? You just have to practice?
I think the first thing is like just recognizing that it's like a real problem. And then it's just going case by case now. Going, okay, is this what I should be doing? You know what I mean? Like, as much as like, I think I can't speak for Moss, but like, I feel like there's many times, like I come up with these ideas all the time, right? And like, I don't know how to put them in their places.
Like sequence it?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's like, it's hard sometimes to, and then you have an idea or a vision of something, and then you just add all these layers, and then it becomes so complicated to do that.
You know what? You know what that reminded me of when you were saying that you were going to do the whole patch thing on the hats? I feel like that's a perfect example of like such a good idea, but like just like doing all the patches, like what would you need to do? Like it would be a brilliant idea.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to do like the scalp patches on hats, like where you could do a certain thing, like, oh, you know, take a dope picture of San Diego, or, you know, whatever. Like,
Did we ever talk about that? So the concept was that we were going to make these like Boy Scout patches that you could earn as a fan of the store by doing things.
Yeah.
And the concept is cool, but it's like, how do you facilitate that? And like, it needs to be managed and managed well. And sometimes it's better to just, I think in that particular situation, it's something that we may be able to do at some point, but not until it's like
just a little bit more solidified.
Yeah, it's a good one to log away. I mean, I instantly remember that because I mean, I just remember seeing that one hat that you were going to do it on, and it stuck in my head. It's a really good concept, but like you said, it's such like a fine line of timing with the concept, or like, you know, even if, you know, oh, that'll stretch me a little too thin right now, like I got to focus on all this other stuff, or, you know, or it's make time for yourself and hit the archery range, you know, like or
and that's the crazy thing. I don't think like even somebody like let's say within my own camp, like, you know, I tease, or they tease me like, oh, you have so many hobbies, right? But it's like you need like my sister, for instance, like I wish that she had more, because then it's her chance to, because then that also stems creativity through whatever other channels, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so, you know, if it's video games or reading comics or books, or now this new thing, fishing. I like fishing because fishing is a good outlet for, you get to be alone for a little bit. You can be in the element.
Do you go out on a boat?
No.
Just off the pier?
Yeah, I'll just go like and fishing in the bay, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, just sometimes in the evening when the sun's setting, you just.
Damn.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
you forget. Like I forget that we live in San Diego. I forget that we're how close to the ocean.
That's very true. I feel like being from here, like I take it for granted.
For sure, 100%.
Man, I mean, last time I've been to the beach and really prepared myself to go to the beach has been since I was probably like 10. Like,
that's nuts.
Yeah, I've never got prepared to go, oh, let's go to the beach and like swim.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, you know, if anything, like I'd probably just go out there for like food and drinks. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Exactly. I mean, I'm telling you, dude. I'm a transplant, but I've been here now on and off for 10 years, and I take it for granted. I mean, so it's, you know, just it's such a terrific place too. I mean, this is an interesting one. I think in your guys' line of work, I think a lot of people end up making that like move to LA, or feel that they need to like move to LA like full time. I mean, I've seen you do like collabs now in SF, and I think you were talking about some other ones to come. But you know, and I know like you have always been like, you know, messing around with LA companies too. So like, what is there something about San Diego inevitably that just also keeps you guys here rather than making that move, other than what we just talked about?
I think for me, I was talking about this earlier today. Like I have so much time spent invested in the city that like I don't want to give that up and start all over in another market.
That's a really good point.
Because like especially with when it comes to curating the music nights and stuff like that, it's competitive, you know, and like we found our place here.
Yeah.
Even with the clothing brand. I mean the only business that we operate, well, I guess I could see clean slate, hopefully living in other markets, but
That's a good point.
but good stuff, you know, good stuff. I want that to be global, like internet. It needs to be international, global, like.
Yeah, you know what's funny is those like all that dry ice food stuff has been blowing up lately.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I see it on Instagram all the time for those those 5-second commercials. Like, I got 20 cheesesteaks shipped to me from Philadelphia. Like, my dad came up to me one day and was like, I got a bunch of Lou Malnati's pizzas from Chicago. And I was like, hell yeah. I put one in the oven, 45 minutes, done and dusted, and it was fire.
Yeah, my family was getting like Kobe beef or some shit. Like,
Really?
yeah, some shit. Some sort of steak thing. I was like, okay.
Oh, that's that's fire.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, you know, a little. But then steaks, they had steak shipped.
Yeah, like Omaha and steaks.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah,
so
that's
fire.
I mean, I definitely think that's. I mean, dude, I've tried those. The messed up part about getting the sample pack is you're just like, oh shit, every one of these is fire. Like, I want to go back and get just one of every
One
type.
of every one,
Yeah.
like, stacked. You know?
Yeah, the sample pack is deadly.
Yeah, it's the one we try to sell the most of, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's the hope. And you know, my sister and I and my family, we talk about it all the time because San Diego is an expensive city to live in, and like my girlfriend recently bought a house in City Heights, and you know what you get for $400,000 here is not much, and so it's not much, and so you know, could we survive in a different city? You know, even some place like Texas, you know, possibly, and do this, and there's thoughts of that, you know, from time to time, but like, you know, we have so much invested in this town, and I don't know if I said this on the last podcast, but it would really suck if like the city finally like had its boiling point where it like took off and did well and we weren't here.
Wow.
That's yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's a moment where like it cracks off and everyone's like, you know, because I think that every city that if it's through music or some sort of food, some sort of outlet.
Anchorman, I mean, shoot. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
something that puts us on the map, and like if we're not here, that's gonna be a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like FOMO, like missing in action. Like it's
I guess so. I guess that's the only FOMO for me.
But I feel like with Jay, like when individuals like Jay and then like myself being like the newcomer and also being involved, like that's the fear that comes on. It's like man, like we have all this time invested. Like I don't want to miss out. I can feel it. Like I'm optimistic about it. You know?
Yeah. You can feel it percolate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like everyone has their time, and it's like I feel like San Diego. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Sooner or later.
Well, dude, I'm kind of on board with you, gentlemen, in that same regard. Like one of the first ones I did, like, you know, I was like, oh man, I eventually want to take this up to LA, but doing it with like people in San Diego and just seeing all the creators of like in different walks of life, and like I think it is gonna get to a bubble at some point.
But your podcast isn't just about San Diego, is it?
No, not
right?
really. That's
so
the thing. But inherently, since I live here,
I think that's been it's been a blessing and a curse. Because like as far as Five and a Dime the brand, because we invested so much in like with the design being San Diego driven, that if you're not from here, I mean, I guess if you're visiting the city, like we could essentially be a cool souvenir shop. But if you're not from the city, because I mean, there was I remember when the Hundreds was rolling out product that said the Hundreds Los Angeles, and I was like, I can never wear this because I'm not from Los Angeles, right?
Yeah.
But I get why they were doing it, you know.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. So I mean, because like when we were doing our podcast too, it was kind of the same thing. It was never really intended to be just about San Diego,
Mhm.
but these are the people that we know and the creatives that we know and our surroundings and stuff, and so it just became that way.
Yeah.
But it like as far as running your podcast, right? Do you feel like it is a detriment, or is it harder for you to get like listeners, or like especially let's say they're not from the
That's a really
city?
good question.
Am I?
That's a really good no. So I would say that there's like micros and macros to that point for sure. So like on the level, I think over time it's gonna come out in the wash where I'll get viewers from all over. Right now, of course, people are gonna be like people like hit me up about you know the episodes with you guys. I've had a lot of good feedback from, and I'm not just saying that to say it on camera or anything.
Do you believe him?
I actually, I've had individual
kidding.
people like follow me because of that. And
Okay.
I can tell like I'll go to their page and they'll be like wearing your guys' stuff, and I'll be like, oh, okay, this is actual engagement
Yeah.
from them being like, oh, I want to
Absolutely.
learn about something that I rock. That's
Absolutely.
actually so I get that engagement.
Mhm.
But then, for example, I do Skype ones. Like I've done ones from Canada,
Mm-hmm.
and that's big because that helps me with baseball. But that also helps me. You know, I see on my Squarespace where people log in from. The majority is United States, but we're getting logins from our second most login is Dublin, which is kind of cool. And then
That's
we
cool.
have China popping off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But who
Can you
knows?
narrow it down, though, to even within the states?
Yes, you can. Yes, you
Yeah.
can. And I've definitely. I mean, I found that California listeners are, of course. Yes, there'll be more. I hashtag California on my stuff too,
Mhm.
so that could be a part of it. But you know, that's it. Whether it's a detriment or a positive, I think overall it's a positive. But I just didn't realize how San Diego centric I could make it. That's what I was really inspired by.
It's
frankly.
just kind of accidental. Same
It-
with
it-
us.
It really was.
Yeah,
like,
same with us.
and it just happens to be that like the conversations that I've been having with people from San Diego, like they tend to be. I mean, they flow, and then I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anyone else. It's just like there's a certain vibe around here of the people, and especially if you're a creative and San Diegan, or consider yourself a San Diegan by way of transplant. There's something in the air about that I dig. You know, whether it's a brewery, whether it's with you guys, whether it's a tattoo artist, or getting my hair cut with Stevie and doing the podcast there. You know, it's been like a lot of San Diego synergy, and I think. I said this in the first one. I say it in a lot of them. San Diego is one of those like small town feel, but it has the resources of a big city if you know how to use it. I mean, if you're able to reach out and be nice to one another, and like you said, say no when you have to. That is a big part of it. But like, there's a lot to utilize within San Diego, whether it's the vast brewery network or I just went over it again, but yeah.
No, that's true. I feel like going back to what you're saying, like using your resources if you know how to use it,
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where you see a lot of people thriving in, when they find their niche and like just go for it, like it grows extremely fast, So I think that's a really good point there. And San Diego does have that,
Yeah.
It's just right now. Well, it's gotten better, but it's not. It's hard, but it's not the hardest.
Yeah.
That's how I feel like.
It
It used to be worse.
It's
It's
worse.
weird.
Yeah, it used to be worse.
It's so weird now
True.
because it's like it's almost there, but there's something about it that's still sleepy. It's odd. I mean, and I don't know whether it's like we're not perceived as being like a late night city, or like there's not like some gnarly club life here. I don't exactly know what there would be like that's missing, because honestly, like food wise, culturally wise, you can get anything you want.
Well, what? Okay, so let's look at other cities, right?
Okay, yeah, like New York and LA would be.
Let's do New Orleans, right?
Okay, there's a great one.
So New Orleans, they've got the food, right?
Bourbon
But then,
Street.
would you say that there's a lot of pride in that city?
Yeah.
I mean, like I went there. I've only been there once. And I went there. I spent a week there though, and that's the way that they are with their college team, and the way that they are with their
They
with
dig
the
it?
Saints. Oh man, they wear those colors.
Oh,
Super
really?
pride.
So,
Yeah.
So there's like just like
There's
mass
so much
regional
pride. But then I thought, past that, what else is there? And I mean, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, because we spent a week there.
Yeah.
And we had a really good time, but we based our whole trip around eating. And we experienced some of the outside stuff, and I'm sure that if we did a deep dive, there would be a lot of stuff. But where I think that, one, San Diego is a transplant city. Two, I just think that, like, it's possible that the reason why, say, even our sports teams suffer is because, like, you have to ask yourself, why was the Chargers having blackout games?
Because people were enjoying other things.
They were enjoying other things. There's so much. You can be outside here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you can
be like a true hobbyist here. Like, you could pick up a lot of different stuff. I mean, I know this is the cliche one, but beach in the day, mountains at night, or vice versa. You can pull that off here. Literally.
You can.
You can pull it off. Like, it's not really going to be like a gnarly race. You can do it like driving the speed limit. It's pretty insane. I mean, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. I think the thing is that San Diego has a lot to offer as far as extracurricular activity.
Wow, so it's hard to, like, then there's so much focus on that extracurricular activity, it's hard to, like, pull the focus into one kind of thing.
I don't know. Think of, like, I mean, again, I don't mean to be insensitive to other cities, but, like, look at any team that's got really great, strong sports following. You know, it's like the weather is probably super shitty.
There's a textbook when the Browns and their team is like they've just acquired some good guys, but their team has been shitty forever, and they sell out every game. You have to wait in line to get tickets. Think about Green Bay Packers.
Same thing.
Yeah. I think there's like a 99-year waiting list for their season ticket holders.
And you couldn't pay me to stand in like the freezing.
My dad used to tell me, like, my dad grew up in Chicago, and he went to Soldier Field where the Bears play. He's like, yeah, we used to, like, layer newspaper into our coats. And I'm like, what the that's some bullshit. Wow. No way.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's a really good point. I mean, the only other city where I could say that I've lived in where I experienced, like, a gnarly love for sports teams and also, like, a hustle and bustle city, but this is totally unique, is Tokyo. I lived in Tokyo freshman, sophomore year of high school, and the Yomiuri Giants are fucking massive.
But I think that's deep. That's like Japan.
Exactly,
Japan is appreciation for everything and doing it to the umpteenth, like best.
Yep.
Like they're doing it as best as you can do it. Like I literally watched some like historical these women were shooting. Going back to archery, I did a weird like YouTube thing, and I was like 30 videos in, and the next thing I know, I'm watching like these 10 ladies like in straight up Japanese garb doing this very methodical, like orchestrated like archery thing, and I was just like, damn, the commitment to that craft. And that's just that one specific thing. Now think about everything that goes on in Japan and how well they do it.
Yeah, it's true. I mean,
that's true. They do it all like very well.
So when they embrace baseball, it's going to be the maximum.
It is actually. It's funny that you say that because it is literally perfected out there. Like, so for example, let's say the Giants are playing an away team. The Giants come up to bat, and the away team is completely silent, and only the Giants fans cheer. And I shit you not, there's like a guy and a gal at the front of the section, like leading the cheers, like, all right, now we're going to do this one. Boom, break out into it. And it's all like horns, drums, orchestrated to the team. Just what you said. And then when the Giants are not hitting, boom, away team, same thing. And it's like that level of like, I don't know.
But is there even like, it's competitive, but they're professional about it? You're not seeing fans in the stands like being like, fuck the Giants or talking shit. Like there's not fights in the stands like when you went to a Chargers Raider game or you go to a Dodgers Padres game. They're not seeing that kind of like.
There's none of that. If anything, it's like that you'll experience the most of that is like soccer.
Yeah, for sure.
Soccer is the most vicious. Dude, honestly, it's wild over there.
I heard a story once, and I'm not going to do it justice, but basically, I remember there was a professional team, and there was racism was so bad in the stand. The racism was so bad in the stand that the only people that were allowed to go to the game were women. The men were no longer allowed.
Was that somewhere in Eastern Europe?
Somewhere in Eastern Europe.
Dude, it literally like there's a couple players who have been from like that region and like have after they've scored a goal like done some like gnarly like I don't know exactly. I don't want to do the salute on air or anything. Some gnarly visual salute.
Yeah.
And like they were banned for life from the game. I mean, there's a team in Russia that's owned by a billionaire oligarch, Anzi Machalkala. I butchered that, but the team doesn't live in the town. They live in Moscow and like fly in every day for training, for physicals, because they cannot live. It's war torn. So like, dude, in the stands, like, oh, they throw. It's wild.
It's just different.
Yeah, it's just a different thing. Yeah, and I mean, you know, it definitely is a. It's a vicious sport over there. I mean, the other one is like the religious angle of it too, like
of course.
Catholic and Protestant
sure.
stuff like Celtics versus Rangers in Ireland. Woo!
Really?
Or in Scotland, yeah, that's like the gnarliest rivalry ever because it's Catholic versus Protestant. Celtic Rangers.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So it's something that happens here affects.
No, they're like over there. Like that's the Catholic team is.
Oh.
One of them, and the Protestant team is the other one.
Oh, got it.
And there's like all the supporters, like they're in
They
like
die
kind of
hard.
similar towns. And yeah, I think like I read when I like moved to England, I was just reading about the Premier League out in I forgot if it's Scotland, I think Scottish Premier League. But the kid got like crucified at one of their fucking matches. Like, how wild is that? That's next level insane, like maniacal behavior.
Yeah.
That's, I mean. Boy.
I think
anyway,
I definitely think a bucket list thing for me would be to like be able to go. I'm not really like an avid watcher or fan of the sport, but I think it would be cool to go to a Premier League game, at least in the UK.
Dude,
just
I'm
one.
I'm a diehard Liverpool fan. Always have.
Yeah.
It's
just to experience it, just to see what it's like.
Yeah.
It's not a sport over there. It's a religion. Like,
Yeah.
Literally. I mean,
Well, okay, so then why? Why is this the same thing? Is it the same thing? Like what? What is San Diego missing? Like what? Why do we not have diehard?
I was discussing that with someone the other day. It's because, and I'll say it. I mean, Liverpool and Manchester, which are the two predominant teams in English Premier League right now, aren't as nice as London in terms of just like things to do and we've seen other teams in London. Chelsea have fallen off. I mean, it goes with your point because there's other stuff to do in London. Maybe the fan base isn't as strong because there's other stuff to do. And I apply that back to San Diego. I think it's more of a good thing, if anything, that maybe our stadiums don't sell out and that you can take in a Padres game when you want and you don't really have to fight someone for a ticket.
That's true. That's absolutely.
But you were totally right. I mean, Liverpool and Manchester, comparatively to London, are not that nice. I mean, I shouldn't say not that nice. I should say there's not as much to do. There's not as much. I mean, London is like one of the capitals of the world.
As you got a good point. I feel like again, like with the East Coast or like Midwest, where the weather is like not as great, people have nothing else to look forward to other than teams. You know,
maybe or
so
sports
like,
or something.
Or
I mean, like aside from the Lakers, I guess Golden State, Sacramento Kings. Like Sacramento's, I grew up there. It's not that great of a city, but we're like, goddamn, do they support their team?
Oh my
Golden
God,
State supports their team, obviously.
Remember
but
when the Kings were about to leave?
Yeah, it was crazy.
The Kings fans literally like strong held the NBA almost. Like your point rings true. And again, I don't mean any like disrespect to any of those places. Like, dude, I grew up all over the world, so like I'm not even from technically San Diego, but like I think it is a beauty of San Diego that sometimes maybe we can look at our sports teams and like be like, oh, they're not that good, and it's like, well, there's a cool reason why not. I don't know.
It's kind of a bummer too, though.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Hey, the Padres are making a nice little run. I think they're building.
Finally.
Something. Yeah, I think they're building something. If we can get the starting pitching to like come through consistently, I think we'll be pretty darn good. Tatis.
They're willing to put money.
Yeah.
It seems like right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think within the next 2-3 years we'll be fighting for a wild card. Then maybe an NOS, but like.
Okay, let me ask you this: what do you think it costs How much do you think it costs to be competitive in the MLB? Like
It
like
depends
to
on
be
what team
like
you are, because the Yankees have that ability to spend the cost because they're like one of the biggest international sports brands. Like I had a lids guy like once was like, I was like, what's the most popular hat? And he was like, we literally by contract have to carry a Yankees. I don't know if they do anymore, but he's like, we carry a Yankees hat in every single lids in the world.
Wow.
So like, to go back to your question, I mean, they're not selling Padres gear all over the world, so I think inherently it's going to be a higher.
so just strictly off merchandising,
Dude,
like would dictate.
I mean, they're that big, like not off merchandising, but also off like brand recognition. Like, you know, like the Yankees are getting advertised in like China and India. Like those are massive markets that, you know, like never like the Padres aren't going to get heard of over there. Like Machado is a big step toward that because like getting a $300 million guy, which is the perceived value of him.
Well, like for instance, like an F1 racing, right?
Massive.
Like Red Bull has the money to make themselves competitive.
Not with Mercedes or Ferrari though. Ferrari and Mercedes spend so much money, and the thing is, Red Bull don't develop their own engines. Red Bull actually last season. I'm a nerd. I'm a complete nerd. I watch F1. Red Bull don't manufacture their own engines. They were getting their engines made by Renault. Renault. And they had a beef with them last season actually, and now they're getting their engines made by Honda. So the thing of it is, like, they were working with their chassis all on Renault engines, and now they have to adjust. But Mercedes and Ferrari do it all in-house. So, again, we're also, I mean, Red Bull's also an energy drink thing. So it's like two different types of brands.
So it doesn't matter, like, but they're a winning team, right?
They have had world champions on their team.
Okay, so let me rephrase it then.
It's a good question.
I'm trying to think of like the amount of money that somebody has to throw at something to
make it work.
Yeah, to make it work.
To
right?
be competitive, a shitload. Like
that's what I'm saying. So the Padres were never going to be competitive because they weren't willing,
precisely, to retain talent.
And no matter how good their farm teams were,
arguably the best in the MLB.
And
no, your point is valid. I like seriously. I mean, Liverpool had a great season this year. They paid $75 million for a defensive player. They paid $45 million for a goalie. Those are both record-breaking fees for those players, and they won the Champions League. So proof is in the pudding. Proof is in the paycheck. But like that's why you see like Steinbrenner's running the Yankees, or like even the Redskins. That guy is never going to change that name because it's always on Forbes top 10. It's right there with Real Madrid, Yankees. It's right.
What?
There.
Really?
Dude, it's always like a top. I don't know if it's top 10 still, but it's always top
And what's
20.
why?
Just because it's a recognizable brand for whatever.
Redskins?
reason.
For real?
I'm not even kidding.
That's crazy.
Dude, I'll look it up just to verify. But yeah, I want to be sure that I'll rescind it if I'm wrong. Too.
So he would not change it because of the.
I didn't even think that they were that big a deal.
Dude,
me either.
I'm shocked by it, but the second I learned it, I read it.
That's insane.
Yeah, sports teams
That's
value.
wild.
So I always go Forbes sports teams value, and then let's see, we got 2018, whatever. We're deep into. We're not deep into 2019. Let's see. We got. Yeah, they're 10th, tied with the Warriors.
What?
What? This is Forbes.
No way.
Cowboys, Man United, Real Madrid, Barcelona, New York Yankees, New England Patriots, New York Knicks. How about that? Okay, there I got one for you. How about the Patriots? Now there's a team that they not necessarily. I don't know if they've invested as much monetarily. More, it's just like the psyche of doing fucking anything to win. Like I don't know what it is about that organization. They're like a no frills organization though. Like I mean, I don't know what their payroll is, so I can't really say this definitively. But
yeah.
I mean, dude, like Tom Brady has to be like their highest paid player. I don't really think about it. Like how many Patriots other than him do you really like know that are getting paid out the ass? Like maybe that means they're spreading their money in the right way, but I think they've just like formed like whatever it is, like a culture there that just wins. Like the Warriors have been able to do it because they got lucky. Steph was on a contract coming back from his busted ankle.
Yeah, but who's on New England that's been there as long as Brady?
No one really. Dude, their turnover is insane.
Right?
They get like free agents to ball
and
off
they
of
still
them.
have winning teams.
That's what I'm saying. So that's maybe the outlier right there. That maybe, and I don't know. that's why I guess Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft are viewed as like such sports geniuses. I mean, there might be something to that.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying. I mean, shit.
Well,
This is the thing I always ask. If they got caught, does that mean that they were the only ones doing it, or does that mean they were just so egregious that they were the only ones who got caught? Because, the college football team, they get caught paying off kids to come to their college. Like,
Sure.
You really think that's more indicative to me of the fact that it's probably a widespread thing, right? Because they're paying in order to be competitive. It's a market that has to be relative.
True.
Yeah.
And isn't that like how they reason why, like with college basketball, they have privatized schools now, just so they can.
That's why, Oregon, for example, is a privatized, or it's a public school, but it's basically privatized. They accept like a lot of out-of-state people and stuff.
Well, like some of those like really popular NBA players that were on like some weird Christian college team.
Oh yeah.
Where they're. Is that the loophole, or is that the way to getting around certain things?
Is that now you mean in like high school?
Yeah, is it just high school? I thought they were like.
In high school, they do something gnarly. They
Oh, is it high school? It's high school, right? All those Christian schools and stuff.
Yeah, they reclassify.
Okay, yeah.
So a lot of top number one picks in the draft have been reclassified. For example, they'll go freshman year they'll play, then they'll reclassify sophomore year as a freshman again. So now the competition is lower. They're going to get scouted on a national level at a young age. By the time they fill out by junior or senior year, they reclassify with their class at one of those academies. They've been scouted because you start getting scouted when you're 6 years old now. It's fucking.
So you're
crazy.
saying that these guys have more of a chance to get recognized because they're willing to back down again?
Basically, yeah.
Oh, that's so crazy.
It's reclassification. I think I'm pretty sure John Wall did it. I think Anthony Davis did it. I mean, we're talking massive number one picks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's worked for them. So, hey, but the interesting thing about that too is the number one recruiting class this year is Memphis, which is kind of out of nowhere, but their coach is Penny Hardaway. So, interesting. But to come back to the overall question of investment in teams, I think there is some of that to be said about getting money off merchandising, getting money off concessions at the game. I mean, because that's big. I know, for example, in soccer, making the Champions League results in $100 million.
I mean, wasn't that one of the main reasons why the Chargers left San Diego? Because they thought that they could get a bigger market share of LA with television and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, in the NFL, it's all about TV rights. But that's an interesting.
But this TV's so archaic, dude.
Yeah, it really is. Dude.
Yeah.
Cable is. I don't get it.
Oh, I mean, if my cable box went
Cable
out,
is
I really wouldn't give a shit.
I mean, I'm practically paying same amount of money for cable through subscriptions now, HBO and.
Because I feel people have a selective viewing, they just have a selective set of channels or set of a lineup of Hulu or Netflix.
I mean, I'll pay the $10+ a month to YouTube than just not have the stupid ass ads.
Yeah. That too.
Because I watch that much YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm dude, please do not interrupt.
Wrestling.
I recently got a subscription to Sci-Fi Network to watch a show, and they have these ads that are intermittent, and I want to blow my brains out.
Dude, it's the same ad over and over again.
Yeah,
you start singing the song by the third time through, and
oh man, it's so brutal. It makes me not even want to watch the show.
Yeah, well, let me ask you: Does that you were saying people kind of know they have their slate of things that they're gonna watch?
Yeah, I feel
does that run over into what you guys do? Do you think does that run over in they know what they're gonna wear, or they know what brand they're gonna fuck with? Or do you think that has runoff?
I think it has some type of not inspiration, but some type of into the creativity. I would say selective, being selective, but but I think because I see in other people when we're, especially with my family, when we're watching TV, there's just one or two, three channels, and then that's it. Everything else doesn't really everyone has their taste.
Wait, but what are they watching?
Like for my mom, for instance, like because I observe her a lot, but she likes to watch the alien. Like I think it's Travel Channel where they talk about like aliens and paranormal activities. She likes to watch that, and then she'll watch.
But it's not a cultural thing, right? For instance,
No,
like
no,
my
no.
girlfriend's mom, or they only watch Korean shows.
Oh no,
You know what I mean? Like,
my dad only watches like my dad just drills MSNBC and just like
That's it.
like, yeah, the whole day.
yeah, my dad just watches ESPN like the whole day. Like that's it. Like,
Oh,
that's
really?
Religion or the news? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, my mom will put on British baking show or some British mystery
British.
wait,
what
British
does,
baking show, is that the one?
where they're in the fields.
Then the tent.
Yeah,
That shit is really good.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie.
What?
Those
That's a
people-
good ass show,
Those
dude.
people are fucking mad masters at just baking. They're like, they put like, they talk about all these cakes that I've never heard. They're like the devil flip side raspberry turnover watermelon cake, and they all know how to bake it. And then they, turn it into like, a White House looking thing. It's crazy. They're
It's there's like, dude, some of the desserts are like mad dusty, bro. They're just mad old. I'm not trying to eat vegetables in my dessert.
That's a good point. I'm not gonna lie. They'll hit you with every once in a while.
It's
They're
like some are
"A
super weird. I'm
zucchini
like,
and leek pie."
I'm out.
Oh no.
I'm just making this shit up.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
like the vibe of it, dude. That's like
that's
straight up
the
like
vibe.
England. Like they have like, I remember like back in the day there was eel pie. I mean, like that was a savory dish, but there's some old school, like you said. Some
Yeah, dude. I did watch one of those British baking shows, or one of those British cooking shows where they took like the I don't know what you call them. They're not celebrity chefs. The Michelin style chefs.
Yeah,
And they took them and they had them baking, or they had them. They would go to like a lord's house, or you know what I mean, like where they had where like some super. I'm totally butchering this, but they take some old families' recipes and try to remake them.
Oh.
And they were like really old, like some dusty ass shit, dude.
That would be wild.
Yeah, and that was a whole concept.
nervous.
And they would like take the family, like these lords and the people that these
Like live in the manor. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. And they were like, okay, we prepared this whole meal for you, and it's like stuff that they haven't had in 100 years, But it's like from their family's cookbook.
Heirloom / recipes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was cool. I was like, I'll never eat any of that shit, but whatever.
Yeah, it is funny.
It's
I
like
mean,
too custom. It's like too custom,
well, dude,
right?
that's
And
one-
too fatty,
Oh,
like
yeah,
indulgent,
old
like yeah.
If you're a lord and a lady back in the day, you're living.
Yeah.
You're living.
Yeah, lots
You're
of
eating-
lard
you're eating
and
good, like
Yeah.
for sure.
That's an interesting. You know what? Also, like that kind of plays into is like it's not like time where it's like old school recipes, but like it's funny how when you're overseas and you'll have like authentic food there, and then you like come back to America and be like, man, I like the Americanized version better for whatever reason, or man, I like the authentic version. It's just funny how like food can change like derivative of like where it is based on that, and like you get used to a version of like, for example, I mean, sushi in Japan has been like widely, it's the stereotype is it's still very traditional, like they don't like mix a lot of different stuff. Of course, that being said, that's not the only type of sushi there is in Japan.
Yeah.
I mean, it's evolving, of course. But
So, like, would
True.
you say that for you? You've had sushi in Japan.
when
you
I
come
was
here?
there, it was more so like, yeah, it would be like straight up just like nigiri, like, or like straight up like, just the fish. I mean, but
Was it better?
you know what, dude? I could say like I really genuinely like don't fully know because I don't think my palate was fully developed.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a little better, but that could be just like a placebo effect of me saying it after the fact. Right? I remember though, like the ramen being so fire, like, and it was so reasonably priced. And it's interesting because Japan, you don't think of it as reasonably priced. But like the ramen chefs over there are fucking serious about their craft. They want to provide people like a meal for like 700, 800 yen.
But also, too, it's like, it's not overdone, right? So, like, for instance,
Simple.
in America, things tend to be a little bit more decadent, more rich, more sugary, more salty, more everything, right?
Yeah.
And recently, I took a trip to Mexico and we ate at a really nice restaurant there. And I don't typically get dessert here because it's too much.
Yeah.
It's just too much. Too yeah. And I can 100% tell the difference between their desserts. It was like the right amount.
Yeah.
It was the right amount. It wasn't like overdone. You didn't feel like disgusting afterwards eating it. You know what I mean? Like you get an upset stomach. It's just too much sugar. It's like, why are we like that here? Like, why, you go to the state fair and it's just over the top and like
OD everywhere.
Dude, my dad went this year and got a little sick in his stomach.
Yeah, I mean, how do you not?
Yeah, I know. I went and I didn't, and I was a little worried. I was like, I got some stuff living in there that killed that.
You gotta really pace yourself, Like we'll go to the fair like maybe once a year, just to go try everything. And it's like you have to bring like 6 friends. You buy one thing, everyone shares it. That way you get to try it. Because if you I don't know how people do it. To be honest, like I get really sick.
Yeah.
But why do we always overdo it?
Yeah,
man?
Simplicity is so it's so under-respected. I mean, I definitely think like in a lot of things. I mean, I'm sure you guys can relate to this in your guys' specific crafts.
I mean, I would say like sometimes, like for instance, like with the good stuff, right? If you look at it, sure, maybe there is a lot of sugar in it, but if you look at it, it's very simplistic. Yeah. It's a very simplistic product. Sure. It doesn't have a lot of crazy. There's no like frill on it. It's even a cookie.
Even like in the mason jar.
It's a cookie. Yeah. So and sometimes I feel like that's not enough for people. Like there's cheesecake in the middle for sure, but like like I'll go and look, I'll be like for this past weekend I was in the kitchen, and there were a couple girls in there and like they were making decorated cake pops and like these cake toppers and stuff and that's all great. It's very artsy and it's hard to do and it's impressive, no question. But I mean, have you ever eaten a cake pop? It's fucking disgusting to me, honestly.
It's like
I've never had one.
It's just mushed up cake.
Oh yeah,
they like take the inside of a cake and they mush it, and then they adhere it to the thing, and then they put It's not for me. It's not for me per se. And I don't want to badmouth anyone, but like it's like somebody might look at what we do and it's just not impressive enough.
Yeah,
because it's just like.
I just feel like
we even did it to ourselves in the kitchen. We're like, oh man, that looks so much cooler than what we're doing, It's like, but
I mean, I feel like
that's so funny.
I feel like my life has been always simple. Like I've always because I always saw like the other guy doing it better or like dang, like that's cool. Like I would want to do that, but it's like for me, like I find it more genuine or more original if I should do it my own way, even if it's not like over the top or it's just simple, Yeah. And everything that I try to do, not just with the clothing, but like my lifestyle and just like keeping things just simple at a good pace, not like so crazy, because I feel like if you go too fast, it's just like. You're just missing out on the good, like the good stuff in between, Yeah. The good moments in life, or like when whatever it is, either if I'm creating or designing something, it's like taking your time with things, So that's my whole thing. Like, simple has always been a big thing for me. Like,
yeah,
huge thing. Even though I get caught up in like, dang, that's tight. Like, oh, that's cool. Like.
Yeah,
I won't do that.
But like for you, as long as like the sourcing is right, the quality is right. Like,
well, you may draw inspiration and then tweak it however. That's the whole thing. True. Like I always try to look at something and go, what can I take away from it, without just blatantly stealing the idea.
True.
Making it my own. So, I mean, that's all life is just regurgitated ideas.
Yeah. At this point, like I always say, like everyone, Peter Griffin is Homer Simpson, is Fred Flintstone, is the guy from the Honeymooners. I mean, it's just like the tweaks on it are brilliant, and like
It's true.
like everyone's gonna have their own preference. Some people are gonna like Fred more than. I mean, it's almost like the James Bonds. Like every James Bond takes that character and does it better. I personally, this might be blasphemy, but I don't like Daniel Craig as James Bond because he gets tortured half the fucking movie. James Bond is out the door with your bitch and the diamonds, and you're planning to ruin the world.
Yeah, but is that Daniel Craig's fault that he got hit in the nutsacks mad times?
Dude,
that was a brutal scene, by the way.
I've not watched any since that. I'm not even friends.
Because we've all gotten hit in the nutsack, but not like while your shit's dangling from a chair.
Dude, that's predatory. Oh my god, that's predatory nutsack hitting right there.
I did only watch that one time. I was like, that's enough.
Dude, that was some shit that you literally like. I don't know what it is. I like felt that. Like I was like,
you know, it's funny. He never watches his movies.
Does he not?
He had an interview one time, I just walked in on it. I was listening. He was like, "Yeah, I hate seeing myself or hearing myself."
He's a great actor. I love Layer Cake. Is one of the best movies ever.
There's a lot of people that say that though, right? Actors don't watch his shit.
I think so.
Didn't Shia LaBeouf like sit in a theater and watch all of his movies and get filmed while watching them?
He would do something like that.
That's exactly. Even if he
that's what he would do for sure.
I just everything's.
But I know
everything seems like a troll though from him.
From Shia, yeah.
I think it is at this point. I mean, that's all he can do to stay relevant. I'm not trying to be a dick. I mean, I've never starred in a movie, but I'm not really.
He seems to be that character, even like from like the Disney Channel. He seemed to be goofy, like humor.
Right. Yeah, he's like that's his trolly humor before it was even called troll.
Yeah.
I don't know. Also, I got a question for you. Do most of your podcasts go like this? I mean, dude, we talked about Daniel Craig's nutsack. Like these weird, like we went on these weird tangents. Yeah, am I right? Like
usually they'll get off on some great tangents.
Like we talked about some weird ass stuff.
Dude, if I include the earlier part too, where I flip back, I mean, we talked about the origins of Star Wars.
I think that's my hardest thing is reeling it back in. Like I get so excited about stories that I can go like. In so many different directions.
I kind of dig that though. I mean, there's ones that I think this one lends itself to that. We already kind of know each other too, and I mean, I think people now at this point, if they're listening and if they know you guys, they're gonna know what they're gonna get out of the podcast. But I mean, but I think they all go a little differently. I mean, like for example, in the brewery ones, sometimes we'll talk specifically about like the science and culture of brewing. I mean, sometimes we'll talk about how we think that beer started the foundation of modern civilization. Some will get like super crazy. Some will stay like in the pocket. And it's kind of cool to have something for everyone.
I think that's true, though. I think that's right.
Oh, beer founded modern civilization for sure. Because they have it was like they had it. It was like in wheat bags, and then it like rained, got through the roof, like went. Or I don't know if it was wheat or whatever, the barley or something, and they ate it, and they got a little messed up. Started interacting, going back and forth. And then also the population increase, like spiked when alcohol was like...
Well, because then you weren't dying from dysentery from the water.
Exactly.
It was like a way to get your water intake without dying.
Really?
Yeah. Dude, shit was miserable back then.
Damn, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much...
That's crazy.
Yeah. And like, what? I mean, like, there's people who've like gone in and like examined like the timeline of the development of alcohol and population spikes, and like even it goes far back as like hypothesizing like cave drawings and stuff. It's pretty interesting.
Huh.
But I mean, it's like and that's like a lubricant to a conversation theoretically. So I mean, it's a bunch of other stuff. But I mean, I just try to keep it like I think it goes back to your question about. The San Diego thing helping or hindering. I think overall it helps because...
And we're back.
We're back.
It took us 1 hour to get there.
And I'm gonna be honest, like I don't really know too much of sports. So like there was a whole segment of me just like tuning in. And
I thought he was talking about the Celtics here.
Oh,
so
really?
I'm the one that looks like an idiot.
Really? Because he... Because you're like, because you said you were like
the Celtics. They're like getting mad about a sports team in the
US here,
or that's when it clicked for me. I was like, oh shit.
You're like, no, they're the Catholics and You're like, oh,
yeah. Some like JFK.
I'm not a super sporty dude either.
Yeah,
I just kind of know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
same.
yeah.
I'm just
I like knowing more about like the sports like F1 and like I've been super into like I mean I don't know if it's exactly sport, but like I like watching that show on Netflix, Meat Eater, where he goes out and hunts and takes on the elements, and like he like knows how to skin the whole animal, utilize every part of the animal. It's really kind of cool. Adam Ranella, but I think ultimately like being flexible with things, like being able to be a jack of all trades, kind of like helps, and I think ultimately it's going to help as long as I keep producing episodes, because like. Regardless, there's going to be content there for everyone.
Yeah, consistency is definitely probably the most important thing.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, my focus is getting cool people on 2 times a week and sharing that over as many platforms as possible. And like, if I get to a couple hundred episodes, then dude, and then it takes off. Great.
Do you ever like panic that you're not gonna be able to
get a guest?
Yeah.
Yeah, I will. I mean, like honestly, it'll stress me out, but then I'll just be like. Oh, I did my first 4 by myself, and I didn't really promote them or anything, but they like got like 100 views just out of nowhere. So I can just always like go on Reddit. I'll look up some interesting articles, like some like I read an article one day about like an automated brothel in Nevada. Just go on and talk about that, about sex box working in a brothel, and what's my take on that? Automated brothel.
Where's this at?
It's like there's one already, I think, in Toronto, and they're trying to open one up in, I want to say Texas or Nevada, but I think it's one of them. I think it's Texas. And like,
so okay, what do you imagine an automated brothel looks like? Without knowing what it is.
Freaking weird.
What do you think it looks like?
I'm going into cartoon mode where it's like
I'm
thinking there's machines all around.
Exactly. I'm thinking like rooms, and it's like all like these machines like for females, and then for like what I'm saying. Like
me too. I just imagine you stick your wang in a like fleshlight that.
Oh gosh.
Some type of like
Yeah, like the big
and it just goes.
Yeah, and there's a time, and there's a timer. Like there's a timer, and like
I watched one of those 2 Chainz where he does the like world's most expensive. Did you see the one with the flashlight and So basically, like there's this software or something where like I think a girl has like a dildo or something, and she can like stroke the dildo, and then the fleshlight will move.
What?
So like if let's say
you can literally have phone sex.
You can literally have phone sex. So it's like a fleshlight on this machine and the machine goes back and forth.
What?
So then like the girl just takes the dildo and can jerk it off or whatever that is. And
we are getting to like this complete world of like odd digitalization.
We're just gonna get to a place where like literally nobody's gonna physically touch each other.
Dude, that's so fucking nutty. That is wild.
I mean, that's what they're saying about Japan. Like the problem with the population because nobody wants to leave their house.
Wow.
Like
I mean, it is population in decline of like the demographics that you want to see in order for it to increase.
Yeah.
I mean.
That's true.
Yeah, but I mean, no. But again, to go back full circle, I think.
Can we like bullet point all the things we've talked about? Fleshlight,
freaking baseball.
What's his face?
The damn Chargers. That's sacks.
No, but I mean, I think ultimately, you stress out, but like that's just a stress. That's like a stress that I'm creating myself, and like by and large, people actually at this point, it's been kind of cool because. People have actually been reaching out to me, which is a lot of fun, and that's like.
But my takeaway with you is that like we did our podcast together, and then you did the podcast with Moss, but you didn't go away. Yep. Like a lot of times, people go, "I want to do this thing." We do it, and then I never see them again.
Oh no, I'm in contact with like, dude. That's my whole thing. Is like this is the brilliant part of the podcast, and this goes into your question about San Diego. I'm inherently building a network, right? So like I just needed to have that one central theme, and the central theme is following your passion in some way, shape, or form. And like, how can we all not relate to that? I mean, it's a really relatable subject, and there's so many people doing it in different ways. So like, I've done the baseball community, and I get great feedback and love from them. I've done, a couple pro skateboarders, got great feedback and love from them. I got, the San Diego kind of streetwear lifestyle stuff from you guys. But then it's not only that. I hit people up, see how they're doing. I post it on my story. It's so easy.
Yeah, but then you took it as far as showing up at the last market we did and buying the hat and
Oh man,
so that's pretty. It's nice, dude.
I
appreciate that.
I think
It's refreshing.
Yeah,
Appreciate
definitely refreshing because to add on to what Jay was saying, I've been out with OGs for 3 years now, and I would see and hear people talk about yo, I got this thing coming up. Would you be a part of it? Because I'm gonna start doing this, and that. Then we'll talk about it, we'll do it, and then again, never see them do it again, or never have them build up that passion that they've talked about, or they've wanted to do. So it's with you, it's awesome to kind of see it build on its own, and that you're loving it, and that you're about it, and so that's back then it wasn't really people were just doing things just to do them and not really taking things as seriously as they should. Yeah. But that's why it's cool to see that happen, and you're genuinely building it,
dude,
and you're sticking around.
It's the creation. I mean, dude, I always will too. That's a fact. I mean, when you floated the idea of getting you guys both on, I was so freaking juiced. I mean, and that's cool. I mean, yeah, it's for me. Synergy is a big thing. I mean, I've moved my whole life, so I always try to develop as many relationships as I can, and I'm good at staying in touch with people because I have to be. So I guess it's one of those things maybe I've learned inherently, so it's a little bit built in. But also, I really do respect what the fuck you guys are doing. I mean, so the love goes both ways in terms of it's an honor for me to get to share what you guys are doing, and dude, this fool drove the hat to my crib the other day.
That's pretty cool.
That's fucking badass. Dude,
I don't know that I would have did it.
I'm all the way by Solana Beach, man. It's a mission. And
you were out there in LA or something, man. No,
yeah.
I'm kidding. Drive as long.
Dude, that's cool. That's cool on both your parts.
Yeah, see, that's the stuff that comes out in the wash. And dude, I mean, you introduced me to Stevie, and then I'm at Stevie's, and I'm dude, the shit on the wall is sick in here, and I got one with Splurgio.
Yeah.
And then Splurgio's dude, come by the shop. And dude, his tattoos are insanely cool. And so
his style is cool. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. And for example, I was telling one of the people who I had on for episode 16 who does murals, I showed them Splurgio's page, and I was he does murals too. You guys should link up. And boom, he followed them. Maybe they link up.
Yeah.
So I think also I never had a personal IG. I never had anything. I just started IG, so I'm so business oriented with it that it helps just build it. So I'm all about just reposting as much shit as possible for people I fuck with. So that I mean, that's definitely easy for me.
It's dope.
But yeah, okay. I mean, again, it's not anything forced. It's easy for me to support something that I fuck with. I think it's kind of this day and age. I don't mean to be kids these days, but it is kind of fleeting. for example, dude, I'm wearing a 4-button suit right now. The suits that are in style right now, the suits that are hot, cling to the body like a fucking, Catwoman suit. I mean, it's ridiculous. Oh, these skinny ties. And I just don't really subscribe to the idea of just going with the trend and then you switch off to that and you'll be totally one style. A year later, I wouldn't recognize it. It's so odd to me that people do that. Yeah. And shit, if you want to be trendy always and be with the I fuck with that too. That's cool, but it's just not me. So the stick around stuff is
I don't do the current trend because I'm not skinny enough. You can't wear a fitted suit, and I tried. It didn't look good.
No,
does not look good. Very top heavy.
I've tried it. I just don't feel comfortable. Dude, that's I'm not trying to say anything about my endowment, but it just scrunches up down. It's fucked up, man. It's dude, it's I don't also like the
dude. He just bragged.
It's all fucked up. It's a goofy. I mean, I start literally sweating more and shit, and I don't know. I'll always just kind of keep it the same, and again, that's part of the stuff that inherently goes in. And
I think.
Do you always dress up though?
Dude, when I'm at the house, bro, I'm literally in Chargers pajamas and usually.
But when you go out, it's always some sort of tie or something.
I'm working on that more actually because I don't want to sound corny or anything, but I guess I am kind of trying to develop a bit of a persona.
Sure, you
So,
have
like,
to have your own brand, right?
Yeah, that's kind of like I'll admit when I went to opening day, I knew I was gonna like take a picture there, like it'd be like, I was trying to put myself on something of like next year I'll have a media pass, right? So I took
That's cool.
yeah, and I had a picture. I posted that picture on my personal account. It's just like something I can look to like, okay, you got to keep grinding because like there's ebbs and flows, and you got to learn to, like you were saying, not get too high or too low, and kind of like maintain that.
Are there goals for yourself that you actually have surprised yourself that you got to?
Dude, I thought it was going to be all me just talking into a camera at first. It was going to be the oddcast where stuff that's odd gets the nod. And I was going to pick odd subjects and just talk about them. And then like my first guest happened to be my cousin who shared really interesting stories. He's a foreign service official who goes overseas and does youth engagement, like in like kind of like conflict territories. And then from then on I got, a rapper, a marathon runner, and then the big thing is guys like you and brewers and artists started letting me into their places of business, and that's when it kind of, it's still in the process of taking off, or I shouldn't even say that like it is yet, but, I think if I continue on this trajectory, hopefully, we keep it mobbing.
I feel like because a podcast can branch in so many different ways, if you do it right, not just having to build your network and being very popular on Instagram, but like with your getup, like you're like again that's what caught my eye. Like when I saw you interview with Jay, and I was like, this guy. Just your whole gimmick, like it could be something if you continue that, and brand that out,
and that's when it becomes more than a gimmick.
Yeah,
that's when it becomes the brand, because brand is nothing more than a gimmick.
But were you? Is this something you were doing before all of it too?
I'll tell you what. Yes, I've been doing it, but I've never been doing it on camera. Right? Like this is what I like to do.
That's what I'm saying. So it's not like it's
not new.
Yeah, I just
dude, I've lived all around the world.
I can appreciate people that aren't just like forcing.
Yeah. I've had to be. I'm giving a little bit up to my upbringing too much, but maybe I would have been like that regardless. But I've had to be because you can't move around. You can't move around and just be like,
Are you like a military kid?
It's the same shit. Like my parents were diplomats, so like.
Oh yeah, everyone's diplomats. What? It's just some diplomatic shit.
They like worked in embassies overseas. Like, so my mom did economic shit. My dad did like human resource shit within embassies, and they lived everywhere.
Yeah, whatever. No big thing.
No biggie.
It's cool, man. But I'll tell you what, though. Here it goes. I've lived a lot of places, been a lot of places, and San Diego, man, is woo! It's seriously, I'm not saying that to Ric Flair it up.
Is it just the weather?
No, man, it's the people.
Mm.
It's the weather. Yeah, of course. Yeah, the weather is no doubt a combining factor. That you can't even.
That's true. I'm not gonna lie.
It's the people. It's the people.
I just can't do humidity.
I can't do humidity at
Dude,
all. I hate it.
I was born in D.C.
Oh my god!
Like, you take.
How can you wear a suit? No wonder why there's so many angry politicians.
So many.
Out there, I had a seersucker suit that I would wear. So
it was seersucking up the sweat.
Yeah.
Zing, got him.
Got him.
But I don't know, man. Yeah, dude. We gotta break this down real quick.
Cool.
Dude. I know this is like kind of forced, and how I'm bringing it up, but talk to us about like the collab and like how this came to be. I know it's the second collab between you guys.
Dude, that might be like our third one.
Oh, is it third? Oh, shit.
We did the Black Friday one.
Right? Oh, okay.
Black Friday.
That's right.
This one, Black Friday.
OGs Faithful.
OGs Faithful.
And then the original color.
So we have 4 hats together.
So
Yeah.
this is wow.
Yeah, 4. Yeah. Sorry, not 3, but 4.
Oh.
You got the still shot.
Dude, yeah.
It came up because it's like I again, like when we've first decided on doing the collab, it was a no-brainer, and then we decided just to do it with the original colorway, and it was a hit.
Yeah.
With the current, or the 96 navy, white, orange, the World Series.
Yeah.
And then I decided, I'm like, hey, you know what? Like, let's let's try to make this like a seasonal thing, or maybe like throughout different months of the year. And with this one, I noticed like the Padres were coming back with the brown and stuff like that. And opening day, but the thing was, it didn't hit me until after opening day happened. So when I called Jay and I was like, you down to do this? And he was like, dude, it already passed.
Yeah,
like,
I know. I think
passed.
opening day is this week or is this weekend?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, we can't do it.
I don't think it's gonna happen, dude.
Man, I was like, dude, like, but I was like, Jay, we got to do this though. This is and it's already been like a couple of months since the last one. I'm like, I think it's time to throw out another hat.
Yeah.
And I gave him like just references, and I had the whole idea pitched in my head. And then I went on the wholesaler hats that Jay goes through, and we've been working with them throughout all the collabs, and they had this, and I thought it was like, dude, we got to go with this brown,
Yeah.
So.
Well, I have the brown jersey from last year, and it does go with it very nicely.
It does?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Which one was it?
I have the one, I think, or it might be from 2 years ago because I have the All-Star game one, I think.
Oh, gotcha. The brand, because it's just so simple. Again, like with my branding, it's really simple. And when it comes to like the collab stuff, like I would want the quality of the hat and like the subject matter to be like vibrant, And of course, like it's tagged up with what we want,
exactly.
with our logos. And like with this one, it's cool. I like particularly also like the ears. The ears kind of like, if you look at the throwback vintage hats, like throwback Padres, Dodger hats, they always have like different ears of different things.
Yeah.
Either it's an anniversary or All-Star games or whatever the case was. So that's kind of where that logo placement came.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think this kind of goes back to how we were saying earlier, like, this is like, it's so simple and not cluttered, but you fit everything you wanted to on there, basically. I mean, and kind of drawing back to our food analogy, I think this kind of plays into that perfectly. This is like a nice, simple dish that has all the like fine components correct.
Yeah. Jay mentioned like, he liked the way that I did the whole 5D rather than just half of it.
Yeah, normally he just distresses half of it. This time he did the whole thing.
Yeah, what I liked, we talked about this on our podcast where we talked about the whole ninja secret.
Yeah, ninja secret.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I liked what I really also noticed this time. I actually didn't notice that you only did the one letter the other time, but I like how like parts of it aren't like, but then it will be on the other hat. So there's not two of a kind. Even though this hat is already limited run, it's literally even more limited run based on the fact that there's not two that are going to have the same distress.
I did that on purpose. I really did, because I thought no one would catch it, but you and a few handful that did buy on that day of the release like caught that.
I like that a lot.
I was like kind of like a signature thing when I was like, I'm gonna leave a few parts on and see what they think, and then see if anyone catches it, and it has.
Yeah, dude.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, was there something about like doing a corduroy? Is that what this is corduroy? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
is there something
it's
about
like
doing a corduroy hat? Because I feel like I was telling Moss the other day I have this corduroy. No disrespect. I'm not even gonna say the company. Never mind. But like, it's a little puffy. It's a little puffy and like doesn't fit right. And I think it was something about the thickness of the corduroy they didn't get quite. Maybe they got it to where they wanted it, but it wasn't like where I wanted it. Is working with corduroy different?
No, I just think that like particularly there's lots of different versions of corduroy hats, and this one just happened to fall in the category of like what we needed as far as color and shape and everything, and it didn't like. And, sometimes you just get lucky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just you have like an idea, and then like sometimes you want to try to source the material and you can't find it. You know what I mean? And we got lucky with this one. It was the right color.
The right shade.
Yeah.
And I get skeptical, to be honest, when it comes to like polo, like corduroy hats, because the shape, normally the first thing that I notice that I won't like is like the shape and the bill. This one instantly, like the bill has a good weight to it.
Yes.
And it's like that, like it just makes it feel, the wearer feel better for my take. But
honestly, that was something that hit me instantly off taking the hat out of the bag. I really liked the weight of it. I don't know. That's like a weird thing.
No.
I think also what it does too is with any good collab, it's unique, but it stays true to both of your brands. I mean, that's
well, also too, like the tough one is like if you look at it, it's got the strap with the buckle on the back.
Yeah.
It just feels like the money that you spend is in it.
Oh,
you know what I mean? It's like sometimes have you ever bought things and they're just expensive to be expensive, but it's not like the quality is any better.
Very frustrating.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, one of my biggest hurdles is just screen printed T-shirts. Right. Like I'm like talking shit on myself here at this point, but it's like it's a screen printed T-shirt, right? And I grew up like at a time when you would buy skateboard T-shirts, and they were like $12, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, and I understand there's costs of doing things, right? Especially for us when we do minimums as low as 36 pieces, the price of printing goes up, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes the price of per item of the blank T-shirt goes up too because we're not ordering as many quantity wise. But when people have to spend more than $40 on a brand new printed T-shirt, that's like for me like really, that's just a personal thing that like I've always had to like juggle with because I just go, dude, it's just I know what the cost of it is going in, and I know like and sometimes I feel like dude, you have to the thing that you have to understand is like when you have a brand, the brand has value, and then you add that value to the products, right? So you don't want to take away from that. You don't want to take away from that, right? Okay. So you don't want to devalue your brand by saying, "Hey, this shirt is $20." But like, sometimes I want to be like, dude, let's just be fair to our customers. They're supporting us. They're wearing our shirt. They're advertising for us. They're wearing our shirt. They're walking around as a walking billboard, and we're charging them that much for it too on top of it. It doesn't seem fair. It doesn't seem right. So I'm not, our shirts are $30 too. But sometimes we add extra hang tags or sew in labels, or we add the pockets or whatever. But we do have printed shirts that are $30, right? Yeah. But I understand that like there's like an integrity to our brand, so it's like that's what you're buying into too. But like I mean, maybe I shouldn't be saying this out loud, but it's like something that like I've personally like fought with the entire time we've had the business. Like when I go to war with my sister about it. Anytime we talk about pricing, where I just go, you do the pricing because she understands. It's like there has to be 3 times, 4 times the markup sometimes because like at the end of the day, like let's say you have 30 different SKUs in your, like for us, we have 30 different SKUs in our catalog, but only 4 of those SKUs sell out. Then you have 4 more that just do so-so, and then you have 10 that aren't doing shit. That didn't get the 30, overhead. But you know what I'm saying? That's right. Yeah, so you have money, like we literally just have money sitting on the shelves, right? So like, like sometimes I have to come to an understanding where like, hey man, like this is a business at the end of the day, and like you're selling, to me, I'm like, damn, I don't know. There's parts where I wish it was a little different at times, but like to me, like when I see this hat and it's $45 and I know what went into it and I can see it physically see it, like that to me is the value is there.
Yeah.
That was a weird way of getting to that, but
yeah, I know, I totally agree. I mean, because this is like, you would say this is like the opposite of like a printed shirt, in the way that you can literally see like the craft and the value. But like, I mean, that's a really interesting thing. Like you create the brands, and then the brand has value, but then the value is demonstrated via the pricing of the product. And it's like a stock price. I mean, like the stock price of a company is reflective of that company's value. That's how our stock market works in this day and age. So, I mean, for anyone to disagree with what you're saying, I mean, I think that's hiding from the truth.
I mean, the only thing though is like essentially if you're a brand and you're a startup brand, you have to just make up a number. You have to go, this is what I think. Yeah. This is kind of where I want to tier us.
That's an interesting thing. I mean, I guess I'm not going through that in the similar sense of like merchandise, but I'm been thinking about, ways to kind of gain revenue streams without losing authenticity. And I mean, as I do that, stuff like that comes up, about like, you have, what do you price whatever you're going to, sell, and, how does that price affect your overall brands? Does it set you up to keep going, or does it eventually set you up to burn out and not be able to pay the overhead for the money on the shelf? Then
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's a complete dichotomy. It's a fine line to walk.
I also feel like it's just, I mean, we've all been there, like when we first started, just kind of like playing with numbers and seeing what works. But also being reasonable at the same time, you know, because again, like as a startup brand, like you want to be able to, you know, still cater to your people, but still it's a business. And so, you know, you still want to be able to make money back to make more, you know? So at this point, I mean, like this design was like, or this concept I've done like 2 years ago. And so I've tested like the pricing and stuff like that. And so it just works beautifully, like with when we do a collab together and we market it and we put it out there, because it just all the elements come into play.
I totally agree. I mean, I think also too, like the fact of paying a higher price for just a screen printed shirt, though, you're investing in that person being able to create, right?
Yeah.
Because like that's all the beforehand shit. Like, I mean, dude, like there's years of you being here, like creating, literally making Super 7, coming back here. I mean, that's all. I know that's like going over the top, but they're investing in you flying up to SF, working with Assembly Hall, flying back down. Then, you know, there's a lot behind the creative process that maybe, you know, certain people appreciate it, but I think it's underappreciated. And that's why, you know, with creative things, you know, you have to price point it to kind of take that stuff into account. I mean, maybe I'm giving you an out there, but I don't know. I think truly investing in the creative in their creativity is an aspect of that.
Yeah, T-shirts are one of those things too, where like as a consumer myself, I tend to buy T-shirts as a show of support.
Like almost buying an album.
Yeah. Like how many times have you gone to, like when I go out of town and I visit restaurants or whatever and I like a specific spot, I'll buy their shirt. Like that's like my way of like supporting the business, not just through the purchase of like whatever it is, but like
I see that translates almost how this is like a hot, like a, you know, dope San Diego gift shop.
I guess so too. And it's like now I have like, you know, like it's funny because single day I wear nothing but white T-shirts. But if you looked in my closet, if you saw the amount of like wrestling shirts that I've currently own or band shirts or music stores or like restaurants, or I have I have stacks.
That's awesome,
right? But
it's almost like about the memory, like
it's a way of collecting and holding on to the memory.
The Ric Flair hoodie.
Yeah.
Woo.
That's a cool hoodie.
Yeah. Well, no, I totally think. I mean, my closet is full of shit. I will never wear it too. But like you said, I buy it out of whether it's support or just to have a memory of being at the spot.
Yeah, I think it's like, I mean, if you're a business owner and you just like, you pay it forward by just buying stuff and helping people out.
Yeah.
You know, it's just comes with it, you know.
Synergy is winergy.
Yeah, that's the hardest part. Like even having the clean slate, like I'm like, how I want to like buy shit from everyone. Yeah. It's like I'm like
exactly. That's how I feel.
That's what happened to me when I went. I was like, oh my goodness. Next time I come to Clean Slate, I have to have a certain amount of dollars that I just pull out because I wanted to buy so much.
Yeah. The only thing currently saving me is that the house that I live in now is too small for anything more.
Uh-huh.
Like so I'm at my max. Either that or I got to delete. I got to go do a life edit. I just call them life edits.
Yeah.
So no upgrades in housing. Because you'll get more shirts that way. I'm
currently I'm looking at like everything that I own in my house that I can like live without.
Yeah.
And just throwing them shits on OfferUp because I'm trying to build a like where I live. I've got a little area where I can build a shed and a little man. I hate saying that, but because I told my girl that I would. She's never gonna like man cave me, but like that's what's ended up happening because I have a little like area where again another place to escape. Like I surround myself in art and books and toys and like the old office essentially. It's awesome. Just drenched in weird shit that you can look at.
And
Like,
get inspired.
yeah,
by it.
like-
inspired. Yeah.
Escape and get inspired.
yeah, a little place that like literally probably zero work will get done in, but it'll just be like, you know,
Put your gaming.
I can
stuff
start
in there.
my Twitch stream. Just
Oh,
kidding.
Your Twitch stream.
There we go.
There it
Who
is.
wants to see a 44-year-old man playing video games?
And just
Let's go.
pwning everybody.
I don't think I'm young enough or old enough. Yeah, you know, I was like, if you watch a grandpa playing video games, that would be pretty fun to watch, right? But
If he
Yeah.
was going nuts, oh yeah.
And he's like hella like really good. I'd be like, yeah.
we'll see. I mean, I get joy out of like knowing that sometimes
Are you only PlayStation? Do you have Xbox?
I have PlayStation, but like I'm trying to figure out how to make the leap to PC. You know,
Okay, that's a
I
big
want to,
That's a big
but I don't know if I have what it takes for keyboard and mouse.
Dude, it's gnarly. It's a whole nother level.
Yeah,
of
it is.
gaming.
It is.
It's the reaction time. It's so much quicker.
Well, I just don't know that I cannot like look
Oh,
at the
the-
keys. Where's my? What key did I bind to opening up a
And
care
you'll be clicking
package?
other
What?
keys.
I don't know. You know, like I don't. Oh wait, how do I jump again? Like
I'll
how
admit
do
to
I?
playing some WoW in middle school. I played some more.
I didn't. I was not a computer dude.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. I can take a look at. Okay, I can.
No, dude, we've been running the gamut. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I guess the you know, to kind of bring it.
I don't know how you're gonna do this, but
This is gonna be
I don't know how you're gonna close this out because we kept it super weird today.
So how
Super odd today.
how does the nutsack torture scene resemble? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm James Bond. No, I'm kidding.
But I guess, I mean, any like, dude, obviously I always want to give you guys time to do any like shout outs, any like, you know, stuff you want to say or like anything you got.
You
going
I
on.
didn't say enough.
No, I mean,
Not enough.
I know for sure I'm going to be at this really cool event on, I think it's the 13th or the 14th. I got to get that set straight so I can say it right. But the 13th or 14th, it's like this West Coast radio thing where there's going to be like 40 podcasters calling Interviews Row. There's going to be a bunch of artists there. Mitchie Slick's going to be there.
Oh,
Are
that's
you
cool.
having
I have
your?
a booth there.
Oh,
I
heck
have a
yeah.
little booth there. So, yeah, there's some like San Diego radio show coming down. So it should be pretty cool. They like just reached out to me they were like, hey, you want to, invest in a booth? And I was like, yeah,
Is it expensive?
50 bones.
That's
Nothing.
chill.
And they're actually
Not
still
bad,
looking
sure.
for they're still looking for one more clothing vendor. Interestingly enough.
One more.
One
Who's it
more.
gonna be?
Who's it gonna
Just
Who's the
one
luck-
more.
who's
The
the lucky
race
one?
to the phone.
Who's the lucky one right now?
But
We'll
yeah,
get it.
That should be fun. That's like the first event thing like that I'm doing. I'm really
When is
excited.
it?
It's July 13th or 14th. I got to get the actual, and I think it's like near here. It's near downtown. So
Cool.
yeah, it should.
It's
be
like
fun.
open to the public.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's open to public. There's gonna be like food trucks there. I think it's all free. Like the only people who pay like are.
And what? Okay, so what is the underlining? Like when they sold you on this concept, like what is the point?
Basically, it's kind of to network with other San Diego podcasts, creators, and just like, I mean, have a booth where like people can come up and kind of ask me what it's about, where to find me, you know, how to take a sticker, if I have some, you know, merchandise, maybe sell some of that. I think it's just to get your name out there, be kind of like the first San Diego Podcast Expo.
Does that happen? Is that a thing that people do?
Podcast Expos, yeah, they're huge. The one this year, there's a podcast movement in Orlando.
Okay.
It's massive. Like it costs like hundreds of bucks to go. Like you can do
Dang,
package
really?
deals. Oh yeah. You can do like
Wow.
package deals. Like they have like a deal with like.
I thought he was gonna say thousands, and then he said hundreds.
I think it might be like that. I'm not. I'm
It's
not
like-
mistaken.
10,000.
It's pretty crazy though. It was expensive, and I mean, then you have to calculate the flight out there,
Sure.
the room fee. It'll get to 1,000 if it's not, but I think it was like 300 for like a one-person pass, but then it goes up. You can buy like up to like
Yeah, but then,
$50.
but that's the whole thing. Like if you see the value in it, like as far as
Oh,
like
yeah. Networking.
if it can elevate your exposure
Precisely.
versus the $50 one.
Yeah. I mean, for right now, I think this is perfect for me.
Yeah, I got you.
So, like, I can go, first of all, I don't feel like going to Orlando in August. We were talking about humidity.
Yeah,
That
that's
would
true.
be fucking miserable. I like
Super
Florida.
miserable.
I mean, shout out to anyone in Florida listening. But
Shouts for it.
yeah, but like, it's miserable in August in terms of the humidity. I can't deal with that. And also, I think that'll be a perfect thing next year. So, like, by the time, I'll be able to ramp up here, do it genuinely here and do it justice here. And then hopefully by the time next year, I'll be speaking at that fucking thing. There you go.
There it is.
There you go. And they'll be paying me to show up.
I
I don't know.
There he is.
I'm gonna probably be paying $1,000 next year to get.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
No, try it out.
Yeah. Good.
Cool. Right on.
I mean,
Well,
any shout outs you want to give though? Anything coming
Oh yeah,
up?
this was all to get to the shout outs. Yeah.
This is our conclusion.
I mean, no.
I mean, no. No.
Nada.
I mean, we just got done doing the bottom market, but when's the next clean slate?
Next clean slate is July 28th at Green
28th.
Flash. Well, it's actually, we're going to do Del Barrio. We're doing Makers Matter again. So it's a collaboration with Del Barrio Market. That's a new thing for us.
Okay.
I don't want to go crazy because then this is gonna be another hour. But Del Barrio Market is the market that Milo runs from Por Vida. They invited us to do the Makers Matter last Saturday. It was our first experience in that in the Northgate parking lot. It was really cool. First time doing it. So we're gonna do more of it. We're going to do more collaborations. Like we have something in the works too, end of July, hopefully a big event. I don't know, I'm hopeful. I'm excited for the same reasons that like somebody invite you to come and be a part of this thing is sort of for us. Like they seen like what we have done in the last year and they asked us to be a part of something. So if it works out, I mean, I'll share that with you guys later, but that's pretty cool. I mean, that's the thing that we have. I mean, man, my big push is the GD cookies, right?
Yeah.
Everything is that, but like the clean slate thing seems to like really picking up momentum and steam.
Yeah, I totally think so. That's like some crazy synergy.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, I'm all about that. Cooperation movement, man. I'll say it again.
Well, dude, I mean, I didn't even think about it. The food truck that I interviewed was at Clean Slate. It was Leilani's.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I interviewed them because I met them at Clean Slate, and I was like, dude, this is a fire hockey tune. I went up and talked to the guy, and I was like, you got to jump on the podcast. We just talked, and it happened, so. There it is.
There it is. There's
Clean Slate.
Clean slate, bro.
Bridging gaps.
Bridging gaps. Cooperative gaps.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I got. Do I thank anyone? Nah. Shout out to my dad. It's Father's Day.
Hey, shout out to Father's Day and Guy.
Yeah.
Shout out to Guy.
Yeah. You got any shout outs? Shout
out to my
Don't
pops.
Be boring.
Huh? Don't be boring? Okay. Dang it. Let's see. Ooh, what am I shouting out to?
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. No, I mean you know what? I want to say this. Shout out to all of our supporters, like I feel.
Oh yeah, shout out to all of our supporters as well.
Yes.
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 Shout out to all my viewers.
I'm glad I thought of it first.
Everybody. I feel like because, having to support like our collabs and both brands and like taking it this far is cool. It's really cool,
Yeah.
And for me to be like a business owner, brand owner, and also a consumer. I like to be a consumer too, and it's cool seeing that done here. And San Diego will get better, promise.
Oh yeah.
We'll get better.
The bubble.
It will get better.
Burst. No. Yeah. Well, shoot. No, I appreciate you guys' time. I appreciate you
Yay! The ODDCAST.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of The Odd, where we talk to people who are turning their passion into paychecks. Love, peace, and chicken grease.
Let's get a little weird. Let's get a little odd. Those sounds you like to hear. We got it going on. It's the ODDCAST. It's the ODDCAST. It's the ODDCAST. It's the ODDCAST.